dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
Andrew back on Liberty Nation Radio, continuing our conversation with Liberty Nation Economics Affairs Editor, Mr. Andrew Moran. Thanks for sticking around, Andrew. Now, another piece that you delved deep into on libertynation.com was about the Trump accounts. And this is really... Now, I try and follow most facets of news from politics, legislation, economics, health, insurance markets, things, just so I've got a good overview, and that benefits me in my particular role. But I've noticed that so few people are discussing the Trump accounts. It's almost like nobody can come up. I mean, specifically, I'm talking about the media on the left. So few places can come up with reasonable criticisms of it that they've decided to just ignore it instead. Could you give us an outline of what the Trump accounts are, how they function?
Well, it's pretty simple. Governments, they'll deposit seed money of $1,000 into a stock indexed bank account for someone born between 2025 and 2028. And that money will just grow until either the person is 18 or in the 20s and they can withdraw to use for an education, or they can just let it sit there until they're 60, withdraw it. And then by that time, the hope is that it's ballooned significantly and they can fund your retirement.
Yes, I mean, if you look at I guess any 60-year period along the market, there's a massive increase. It's just the reality. There isn't, there hasn't been a 60-year period where it hasn't gone up significantly. And of course, just to dig a little further into the details here, so that's a standard, I guess, investment, right, of $1,000, the seed money, and that can be capped on top of by the parent or caregiver, and they can make additions to that, which will obviously increase the increasable pie, as it were. Is that right?
Yeah. So you have a cap of $5,000 a year, and you also have a lot of things happening that corporate America is really participating in this program. You had JP Morgan Chase, you have Bank of America, you had the Michael and Susan Dell, you had that woman, that rapper.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
Nicki Minaj. Right. She's contributing to it. So there's a lot of companies who are matching that $1,000 contribution. So, a lot of these people, a lot of these kids who are born, their families working for these companies, they may have $2,000 as soon as they're born deposited into that bank.
No, I mean, that's a great thing, right? It's setting people up for the future. That, I mean, eventually, that pot might be worth $113,000, and they can pay off their share of the national debt. When
that's what I was making. But there was an interesting analysis from the Treasury Department, and the conclusion was that if you just have $1,000 and you do not touch it, you just put $1,000, you don't do any contributions, you just have compounding growth. They estimated that based on just average stock market returns, that $1,000 would turn into $500,000 by the time you're the age of 60. Which that's an incredible sum. Now, of course, you have to take account to adjust for inflation. Yeah. I mean, that thing will probably be cut in half if you do the standard, 2% annual inflation rate. But then instead, of course, if you have a strong stock market that you've had over the last few years, that can be upwards of $1 million.
Yeah, which even with inflation, you can afford a good dinner on that, right?
And some of the interest costs on the national debt.
Well, yeah, a bit. So why is this not just being lauded? I mean, I can't see a downside to this.
I really can't answer that. I mean, there's so much going on in the world of news. Perhaps the mainstream media is just not, focusing on that at all because of, you have Iran, you have the stock market crash, you have Kevin Warsh, you have, so many things ICE. You have so many things going on. But overall, I mean, it's not a. I know some critics will say that, it's a bailout for Wall Street. But if you look at the price tag, I mean, there's not an official cost of it, but you just do an estimate. Most estimates say around $15 billion this program would cost. I mean, that's
over 4 years, right?
Yes. So, I mean, that's how much of a bailout for Wall Street. Wall Street, they engage about like $500 billion transactions a day. So $15 billion is just a drop in the bucket for the U.S. stock market.
Yeah, it's the kind of idea where I wonder why it hasn't been done before, because you're using the natural upwards trajectory of your stock market, which is, I mean, it's natural, right? It just keeps going up over time. Maybe dips and whatnot, but over time it just keeps going up, and you're just using that for a very small investment. You end up with something that can be quite substantially life-changing, whether that's paying for the ever-expanding education bill, or even the retirement nest egg, or even, because it's not as though they've only got a choice to take it out when they're 18 or 60, right?
Yeah, they can do it.
They can take it out at any point in between there. That's a decent deposit on a house. That's getting people, into the housing market when maybe they couldn't beforehand.
Yeah, that's one of the criteria is that you can use it for a deposit house, or it can use to start a business. Those are some of the criteria you can use to avoid the tax penalty on it.
Well, that's the other thing I wanted to ask about this, Andrew. I wanted to check what the incentives are for parents to invest in this. Now, this is a tax. If a parent decides to match that each year, like put $1,000 and $2,000 into the account, there's a tax advantage there for the parent.
Yeah, so these tax contributions are tax deferred. It operates similar to an individual retirement account or IRA, where you don't pay taxes until you withdraw from it. And in some cases, you may not pay tax at all if you're using it for one of the criteria, like paying for your college education. So that's one of the advantages behind it. I think another advantage too that's not talked about is that if you invest in it into a stock market index that pays a dividend, whether it's a monthly or quarterly dividend, you're getting a nice also income on top of the capital windfall. So you have, you're putting together both the equity build and also the dividend income, which is great. I mean, that's twofold. That's great.
We'll see how it pans out. Andrew Moran, we'll be back after this short break.
We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.